Hello, welcome to another Daily Digest video, I am Ross Merriam, and today I am playing Temur Delver, a cool looking deck here that is part of a recent trend that, for all intents and purposes, was set off by Ben Friedman incorporating Faithless Looting into his Grixis Death Shadow deck, and that is trying to find other homes for Faithless Looting in fair decks. I know Faithless Looting started off as this sort of combo enabler for graveyard decks. Murder Pyromancer has showed that as long as you're taking advantage of the graveyard in some way, you can play it in a fair deck. And now, I think this deck uses Faithless Looting a lot like Grixis Death Shadow would, where your deck wants to operate on a very low land count, so you're going to discard a lot of excess lands. You also have a lot of narrowly powerful disruptive elements. The discard spells in Death Shadow get worse later on. All of these decks have a lot of conditional counter magic, so finding the right things to line up against your opponent's interaction for your threats, or the right removal for their threats, is important, and Faithless Looting certainly helps you do that. So I'm going to try it out. As for this hand, it seems fine to me, even though there's not a single spell. We're going to be able to play a Delver of Secrets on turn 1, a Tarmogoyf on turn 2, hopefully find a spell at some point to interact and grow our Tarmogoyf, and then play Hooting Mandrels, and if all else fails, we can follow up with a Pyromancer. So I'm going to keep this one on the play. Going to take a second to think about how I want to use my lands, and I think it's going to be just best for me to preserve my life total a bit and get an island here, and then we can get Stomping Ground with our next fetch and make sure we have 2 blue, 2 red, 2 and at least 1 green. Green seems like the splash color, so I'm fine having 1 green, but I'd like to have 2 blue and 2 red. So we'll start with the island and play Delver. I guess the one downside to this is we have to crack this fetch next turn for Goyf, and maybe we want to hold it up if we don't flip the Delver soon, because then we get to sort of scry after looking at our top card with the trigger. But our opponent appears to be burned, so saving our life total is going to be important. This is a little unfortunate. Ooh, Forked Bolt. Well, I like that. Oh, man. So I'm thinking about how I want to play this turn. We're definitely flipping our Delver. I don't want to play Tarmogoyf this turn because it'll be a 1/2 and vulnerable to Searing Blaze. And I want to guarantee this Goblin Guide off the board. So I guess I want a Forked Bolt, but that's going to require either not getting a green source with this or shocking. And since I have 2 green cards, not getting a green source is completely unreasonable. So I am going to shock. And that means playing the Steam Vent so I can get Forest off of this and Hooting Mandrels next turn. Huh. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I want it, like, Hooting Mandrels next turn isn't great because it makes our Goyf bad. But that should probably fix itself in the next couple turns with our opponent casting spells. So I guess that's fine. Oh yeah, we already attacked. Okay, I was thinking, did I skip through my attack step? So really, I just want to find some Spell Pierces and Stubborn Denial. I think there's 4 Pierce, 1 Denial on the list. We might be getting Searing Blazed here anyway. That would be kind of tough. Oh, our opponent is not burned. They are Goblins. So this is a deck that won a recent MTGO PTQ. 8-whack Goblins. That's a little different. So they're not going to have Searing Blaze, but they will have Lightning Bolt. Ooh. Oh. I'm pretty sure that the 8-whack decks do not play Lava Spike. So now I'm just not really sure what's going on. Our opponent appears to be some sort of strange hybrid between the two. Okay. Let's crack this. Get our Forest. We can... Maybe I want a Pyromancer this turn to get some value out of it. Granted, the thing is, like, the Pyromancer long-term is not good because of Legion Loyalist, but it does deter the Loyalist this turn, but so does almost anything I play. If they are an 8-whack deck with just Lava Spikes, and they play Creature Whacker, then Pyromancer is really bad. So I'm definitely going to start with Visions. Draw another Goyf. Yeah, I definitely don't want either of these. I want interactive spells. I have 4 creatures in my hand. And I think I'll play Tarmogoyf over Mandrills because I guess it's not as big that all 3 spells played are sorceries. So maybe I want to play Mandrills. Well, Goyf's still a 3/4. Yeah, Goyf's still a 3/4 no matter what next turn. So though if I draw like a fetch lane next turn, I can play Pyromancer plus Mandrills, whereas I can't do that with Tarmogoyf. And they are at a multiple of 3, so 3/4 is likely just as good as 4/4, but Trample is good if they are a Goblin deck and want a chump block. So I'm attacking them to 12 this turn. I think I'll be able to kill them in 2 turns even without double spelling. And I really just want to draw an interactive spell anyway, so I'm going to go with the Mandrills. Had I known they were this... I still don't exactly know what they're doing, so maybe I should stop saying had I known. I'm a little worried at Goblin Grenade at this point. At 10 life, I don't think it'll be that difficult for them to deal 5 more damage here. Though Hooting Mandrills and Tarmogoyf are good blockers. I guess if I draw a fetch lane next turn, I can double spell either way. So I don't know what I was thinking. I definitely have. I guess that has to be a blue fetch lane. I think I only have 2 islands. I probably have a forest. What do they have? I guess is more important. Not super afraid. I guess if they have Creature Bushwhacker, they're going to probably get me into Goblin Grenade range. If they do that, I can block 1 thing. I'm probably at 6, and they'll have 2 creatures. I'll be able to attack, play a Tarmogoyf, and hope they don't have a haste creature plus Goblin Grenade on the next turn. Because I don't really want to leave back the Hooting Mandrills. If I only attack them to 8, I'll probably be giving them 2 more turns. Interesting that they're in the tank here. I don't really see what they could be thinking about. Maybe they're thinking about what I could have, because I'm also not playing a standard deck. Or a typical deck, I guess I should say, to avoid confusion. No, neither of us are playing standard decks. We're playing modern decks. But, I doubt they're thinking about something that they are sequencing. Their sequencing should be pretty straightforward. So what could they be thinking about for me? Another Forked Bolt, or maybe pump spells of some kind? I mean, it should be pretty clear what my deck's doing. I've got cantrips. You can expect a full set of lightning bolts. Maybe I have 1 more Forked Bolt in the deck, maybe not. But other than that, I mean, what you see is what you get. I'm sure they can expect Tarmogoyf. Maybe they don't expect Pyromancer, but they shouldn't be worried about that one with the Loyalist on the battlefield. So I guess they could be thinking about counter spells for a Goblin Grenade, Spell Pierce, and Stubborn Denial. Just Goblin... No. What are they casting? Looks like they're double spelling. If they're... Because right now they're in the middle of casting a spell with 2 floating. This feels like some Goblin plus Goblin Bushwhacker. Oh, Summons plus Bushwhacker would be... Interesting that they don't sack all their lands to make the elementals... Yeah, that's strange to me. They must have... Like, if they had sacked all their lands, then they can attack, and I have to chump block an elemental. Their creatures are going to have first strike from the Legion Loyalist, And if I don't block an elemental, I take 10. So I'd have to essentially chump block and go to 2. I assume this means they have a lightning bolt or a goblin grenade in their hand. And because I'm in bolt or grenade range either way, I think my best bet is to block the Legion Loyalist. Because if I draw a cantrip, I can play Pyromancer Cantrip and create 2 blockers that way. So I'm going to block here. Unfortunately, I don't have them dead to a bolt. I'd be 1 short. Oh, so I guess drawing exactly Shockland is what punished me for this play. So I have to go Tarmogoyf, tap land. Yeah, I didn't think about drawing exactly a Shockland. Huh. Yeah. Could have done that better. And now I'm probably dead. Summons Bushwhacker was a little bit too good. I'm dead to any haste creature, any lightning bolt. Maybe I should just bit the bullet and blocked the elemental token. If that were the case, I'd be at 1, and I'd have a young Pyromancer in play as well. That seems better. Though Pyromancer would be a bad blocker against Goblin Bushwhacker, but that's hard for them to cast. They have a Goblin guy, yeah. Yeah, if I had blocked an elemental, I'd be in... I guess I'd still be dead. I guess I would have had to block an elemental and then not shocked double spell and just played the Tarmogoyf. And then an elemental, and then I'd be able to go to 1 here. Did not expect them to have Goblin Guide. That seems worse than just making the elementals big and forcing me to chump block. Whereas Lightning Bolt plays around me untapping with a lot of removal. Yeah. Okay, I'm dead. This is not a matchup most tempo decks want to play against. Just really fast creatures, but fortunately my sideboard is pretty well prepared for it. So I like Fire Spouts, I like Feed the Clans, especially if they have Lava Spike, and I like Flame Slash. I do not like any counter spells. Just don't have time to leave them up. A Mana Leak, yeah, another counter spell, that one can go. So yeah, -6 counter spells plus 4 removal spells and 2 Feed the Clans. So 6 spells for 6 spells seems good to me. I don't think I'm fearing any artifacts or enchantments out of this deck. Damping Sphere is obviously bad. Sure. Now, on the play and knowing what I'm playing against, both very valuable. Yeah, I didn't have many Shocklands left in my deck at that point. 3, whereas I had 6 cantrips, so I think my play is fine. Also, like, Vapor Snag is good there, too, to go along with Young Pyromancer and snagging a token. So, unfortunately, their, like, red spell would have been bad, because I only have the 1 red source of mana. So, okay. Could have also reasonably concluded that I should leave both 1/1s on the battlefield in case I have the last Forked Bolt, but that seems like we're greedy thinking. Forked Bolt answering a 2/2 is probably good enough. At least good enough if they don't have the burn spell. Also, if they had Goblin Grenade, getting the Goblin off the battlefield had value. So I would like to play first. Oh, man. Well, I don't like that we have both 2 Shocklands, so we're going to take a lot of damage from our lands, but we do have Forked Bolt, which is one of our best cards in the matchup. We're going to be able to play a Hooting Mandrills on... I guess we can't play it on turn 2 because we didn't draw Fetch Land. Well, that's frustrating. So I'm thinking about which land... I'm still keeping. This hand is close to being very good, and Meow Thought Scour to cantrip. I'm just thinking about which land I want to play. So like if they have turn 1 Goblin Guide, mulligan is good for us, then being able to, playing Steam Vents first and being able to play Breeding Pool tapped and Fork Bolt their creature is good. Whereas if we draw a fetch land, then we'll want to Mandrills. So if we don't draw a green fetch land, we'll have to shock again to Mandrills. So we make a green fetch land bad by playing Steam Vents, but we make bricks on our part, and them having Goblin Guide bad with Breeding Pool. 3, 7. Not sure, but I'm gonna go with the Breeding Pool because I at least have the potential to Vapor Snag if I can't Forked Bolt. So Breeding Pool it is. I didn't check how they scryed. They scry to the top. Good for them. And they do have a Goblin Guide. Okay, well, I'll get to see the top card of my deck, and if it's a fetch land or it is a Misty Rainforest. So I'm going to snag that. So I don't take damage. Now I'm going to get Basic Island and Thought Scour and play my Hooting Mandrills. Ooh, both is good. Didn't really want to show them the Fire Spout, but it is what it is. Turn 2, 4, 4, and now their Goblin Guide looks pretty bad. I'm going to have to shock myself next turn, which isn't the best. Two Goblin Guides. This probably does not merit an attack. Okay, let's start with the Visions. We can hold off on this looting. I'm going to want to use my red mana for removal spells. And that is interesting. Actually, I think I want to top. I'm gonna have more red mana. Yeah, so I'm gonna follow up the Fire Spout. So now I don't really want to use my red removal. So I'm just going to play this tapped and then hold up my Hooting Mandrills and play more of a controlling line here. If I absolutely need to Vapor Snag something, which I doubt it, I can. And I can play tap Steam Vents next turn into Fire Spout and then go from there. Yeah. So plan shifted once I find that Fire Spout. A third Goblin Guide. So, ooh, okay, no attack still. I was going to be a little frustrated if they, because if they attack that turn, they get to see the Fire Spout, but that's fine. So they might have an answer to the Hooting Mandrills if they have a Lightning Bolt or something after I Fire Spout. But I don't mind trading resources at all. I have the Pyromancer on top to generate some value, and I'm still at 17 life. Let's shoot for 4. And I'm looking great. Play this tapped. We got to save ourselves some life here. And if they don't do something great on this turn, it's going to be curtains. Fourth land is not great, although fourth land, I guess, gets awkward if they have summons. They can start making 4/4s to compete with the Mandrills. You know, On the surface, not a bad recovery from a sweeper, but not good against this Forked Bolt. So I'm going to attack for 4. And play Pyromancer. I don't see the need to looting at all. My hand is good. I can wait till I at least draw a land, so I know I'm going to have something to discard. And we are comically far ahead. I guess they're looking at lethal here, yeah. Even if they had 2 blockers, it's likely that one of their blockers has 1 toughness, so it'll block the Pyromancer. I'll snag 1, they go to 8. Even if they have something to trade with the Mandrills, they take 4, go to 4, and Bolt will finish them off. So a pretty easy game there. And I don't see the need to sideboard any differently. It's a pretty polarizing matchup. Didn't really see anything that is an obvious sideboard card from them either. So we'll keep it the same. They've seen Fire Spout. They have not seen Feed the Clan. But this is probably a matchup where they have to bring out Lava Spike. Because if they only go halfway towards this swarmy creature plan, then it's not going to work out against my removal. They sort of have to really commit to it to make it resilient. If you only have a few creatures, then you can commit all the way to the spell plan. But once you put Bushwhackers in your deck, you definitely can't get to a point where your configuration only has a few creatures. So I imagine Lava Spike is not in their deck in the post-sideboard games. But Goblin Grenade, still a good one. Maybe they're playing Spike over Grenade just to be more consistent. That doesn't seem great, but gotta find room for that card somewhere. Could just be they only have 1 or 2 as a supplementary burn spell. So they have 3 or 4 grenades, 4 bolts, and 1 or 2 spikes. That is not altogether unreasonable. Make sure I know this mana base well. So I've got 4 Misties, 4 Tarns, 3 Foothills, 2 Vents, 1 of each other, 2 Islands, and a Forest. Seems good to me. Kind of want a basic Mountain for aggressive matchups where you need to bolt and do stuff early, but I understand wanting the Forest against Blood Moon when you're definitely going to have a red source. Opponent really in the tank sideboarding here. In great hand. Or nothing. Maybe our opponent wants to be on the draw. That would be nice of them. Okay, another hand where we are going to have to shock, but I think it is a fine one. It is a hand that lacks interaction. Maybe this is actually a mulligan on the draw. Now that I think about it. We're gonna have turn 1 Delver, turn 2 Goyf. This is sort of the hand we had in game 1. Also, we don't have a basic mountain, so we're actually gonna have to shock twice. Yeah, I actually think this is mulligan. We're doing ourselves too much damage. We don't have the defensive measures, and I don't think we're gonna win in a race, which is the only thing this hand can do. So let's mulligan. And while this hand is not great, we do have one of our better cards in Forked Bolt. Should be able to play this Mandrills pretty quickly as long as we can find another land. So I will keep this. A Forest. I think we have to bottom this. I'm willing to take a little damage to get my mana base up and running and delve more quickly. So I don't think I want another basic. So I'm going to bottom that, and I'm going to be sad if our opponent plays turn 1 Goblin Guide. Frenzied Goblin. Okay, that one I'm very happy to see because I have a Forked Bolt in my hand. So let's play the Serum Visions. And there is our fetch land. I don't think I want this Feed the Clan. I think I actually need to find a 3rd land too to start operating. Feed the Clan's more of a later game thing when I'm a little bit ahead and I want to lock it down. I haven't reached that stage of the game yet. And Frenzied Goblin is not putting me under a lot of pressure here. So, yes, another 1 toughness creature. Oh, if this is their only play, I'm going to be so happy. Only taking 2 here. I'm going to go to 15 on my turn. Oh, yes. So, could get greedy and try to play the Pyromancer first, but I don't think I need to be greedy here. 1 and 1. And I'll hold up snag if they do something big. I kind of want to snag this turn on anything so I can hoot next turn. Though I guess, now looting won't do it because of the way my lands are situated, but well, this is like the last creature I want to snag because it gives them a chance to surge it. So I think I'm just going to take this. Looting Mandrills is going to be able to block pretty effectively even if they surge. I'm just going to snag. This might be bad, but I really want to get the Hooting Mandrills down. Okay, well, I guess I have to get a Steam Vents with that, which is fine. I'm gonna... Oh, hold on. Let's cancel and make sure we do this first. So, like, prevents us from bluffing anything, but we do have a Snapcaster in the deck, so I'd like to leave the Fork Bolt in my graveyard. And next turn I can Young Pyromancer plus Flame Slash, and then looting to find more gas the turn after that. Please, oh, paying life. This is a Dismember. Okay. As long as they don't have devastating summons. Yeah. So we took an extra point in order to... by getting the search trigger, but we prevented 2 points by preventing the previous attack, so I'm okay with this. And now I get to Pyromancer plus Flame Slash the Frenzied Goblin and make a token. I'm still at 10. They're at 1 card. It's Devastating Summons is the card I'm worried about. Because I'm a little worried of Legion Loyalist with this Pyromancer, but I'll have a Goyf too. Yield. And Goyf is going to be with sorcery, instant creature, but no land. So Goyf will be a 3/4. At the very least. I imagine I'll find a land in the top 3 cards of my deck. Yeah, it's really just Devastating Summons at this point that I'm worried about. As long as that doesn't show up, I should be fine. And this pause here is the pause of a person that doesn't really have a lot of options, or doesn't have any good options. Because if they had a good option, it would be very easy to find with 2 cards in hand. Another Bushwhacker. If this is a Legion Loyalist, which they would have played first. Ooh. An aggressive attack. Well, I think it's okay if I go to 8. Guess I lose to Goblin Grenade Lightning Bolt. But it might be grading now. Yeah, okay. They had the grenade. Yeah, maybe that was wrong of me, and I should have just blocked both, because now I'm dead to a bolt. They don't have many turns to find it, but I think I would have felt pretty far ahead if I just double blocked both and then stranded the grenade in their hand, or left them with a bolt that doesn't kill Tarmogoyf. Okay, well, didn't hit a land there, but hit a land here. So let's play this first to pump my Goyf by pitching a land. And we can discard these. Maybe I'm actually supposed to discard the Hooting Mandrills. Because they're about to take 7 here, go to 6. Yeah, they're going to be dead before I cast this, whereas finding like a Bolt next turn might be relevant. They're definitely going to be dead before I attack with it, I should say. So, attack with all. Yeah, because I guess if they generate 2 blockers this turn, like if they draw Devastating Summons, they can stay alive. Okay, oof. Well, I think I was a little loose there, not blocking both. I sort of snuffed out what they were trying to do and didn't play around it. Granted, it was unlikely to happen, but it was definitely the easiest way for me to lose that game. And that's classic, like, play to stop your opponent's outs when you're ahead versus play to your own outs when you're behind. But, you know, didn't get punished. Generally, in the games we won, we were just able to stay ahead of our opponents. Their draw there in Game 3 was not particularly explosive, and our Forked Bolt was great. I guess we had the Forked Bolt in Game 3 and the Fire Spout in Game 2 that really generated a ton of value, but in Game 2, they played a bunch of Goblin Guides and didn't attack because we had a Hooting Mandrills. They just needed a Grenade or a Dismember to deal with it. Couldn't, you know, red decks have trouble with big creatures. This is a deck that does not have a lot, it has more ways than most, but still not a ton, and doesn't have any card selection, so you're reliant on having a really strong opening hand, and we're able to put a little bit of a wrench and then take over pretty quickly because the deck, that's what the deck does. It applies a lot of pressure itself to used to being the aggressive deck, so when it's going to be the control deck, it's going to be a control deck that turns the corner quite quickly. We were able to do that in both games and close it out before our opponent found the tools they needed to finish us off and take the match. So hope you enjoyed watching that one, and you can come back and see me on Monday. Bye.